Okay, I'd like to call to order tonight's board meeting for Newberg School District for June 9th, 2026. And we are going to have the flag salute by Cole. Okay, this is time to review the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions? Okay, hearing none, let's move on to the consent agenda. I've asked Aubrey to do the honors around the donations.
In the consent agenda tonight, we have two donations noted. One is from the Oregon Hunters Association of Yamhill County, which donated $3,600 to the high school trap team. And the other is from the Austin Family Foundation in the amount of $10,000 to support the federal program's summer learning program, which is such an important piece of our summer for so many of our students to continue their learning. So thank you to them. And I believe we'll be hearing some more news about the trap team later tonight. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on through the consent agenda, do we have any here a motion? Any typos, Andy?
None that I saw.
Thank you.
I was just going to move that the Newberg Dundee Public Schools Board of Directors approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Any questions?
I would, it's not stopping this from going forward, but I would suggest that, kind of because of what's happening with you from between this meeting and the rest of the couple meetings, that, doing some research for BCB, not saying it's inadequate, but, there's not a succession plan kind of outlined, and I don't think OSBA offers it. I would maybe suggest, the policy committee to maybe look at that as a secondary thing to look at just going forward. Not stopping it from being approved today, just suggesting that maybe we think about that and maybe put that in policy. So
absolutely. I'll call OSBA and get some information around that.
thank you.
Okay. I'll call for the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Nope.
Well, I just wanted to ask, so does that mean we're pulling out BCB from?
No, I think it can go forward as it is now, and
Okay.
maybe there could be a quick revision. I don't know, however long.
Okay.
2 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever.
Okay.
Just to talk about that going forward,
My other thought is just talking to OSBA and kind of see what they recommend.
Yeah.
So whether or not there's already some past practice here or whether it needs to be written in there. So I'll get some advice from OSBA.
Yeah, I didn't want to stop it from going forward today at all. So
Okay. All right. Then aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Okay, great. So now is the time for public forum, and Nancy Woodward is here to speak. If you want to come up to the podium, turn on the microphone, please, and speak clearly.
Yes, I'm Nancy Woodward from Newberg. And Deb, this is for you. This is your last meeting as a school board member. And for the entire 3 years, you have served in leadership roles. You've been the board chair the last 2 years. And during your time of service, you've worked with 3 different superintendents and 9 different board members. You have kept the welfare of students and their school experience at the forefront of your decisions. Thank you for all the time you've given to the community as a member of the school board. Your wisdom, thoughtfulness, humor at appropriate times, and vision for excellence have been gifts to the students, faculty, staff, administration, and the larger Newberg Dundee community. And on a personal note, sometimes friendships are forged in fire. And that has been my privilege that our friendship happened for me. The first year we served together on the school board, our friendship developed due to many, many circumstances. We talked about the school district, a lot of issues, but then we learned about each other. We talked about our children and who are adults and them living a half a world away and how much we loved what apps. We celebrated the birth of your first grandchild. We shared about our travels and our hopes for our lives and for the school district. So thank you for your service and enjoy some deserved extra time for your family and friends. And so, my friend, well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Chloe Bridges. Yes, we're related.
I was gonna hide it. I don't think anyone
I
would
don't know.
notice. Okay, hi, I'm Chloe. And that one's my mom. So I just want to say, besides being a wonderful mom, Deb is a dedicated member of the community who, throughout her work, both professionally and personally, continues to push for improvements in education and improvements to the community as a whole. She has worked hard for the board as well as every other thing she's done in her life. And I just want us to look at where we were and where we are now. This board has done so much work, great work, and this board will continue to do it. I think it is incredibly important to work diligently to improve the education for students and people of our community. I personally would like to have well-qualified professionals who help me later in life, doctors, lawyers, nurses, anyone in our community. I would prefer them to be well-rounded and well-educated, and I think this board has done a great job and continues and will continue to do a great job. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the board and specifically my mom, Deb, for all their work to improve the level of education and opportunities for all the students of Newberg High School. Deb will be missed, but as all great things must come to an end, we look forward to the work that the board will continue to do. Just because Deb is stepping down from the board doesn't mean her work stops here. I don't know if anyone has noticed, but she doesn't stay still for very long. She's always doing something. So she will definitely still be working, and I look forward to what the future holds for her. Great job, Mom.
That right there, folks, is a product of the Newberg School District. All right. Thanks, ladies. That was very generous. Okay.
So, no,
Is this public comment time? Or do you want, I mean,
I just, again, I had some words written for later, but I think this is a good time for us to speak those words, which is, I've been around, this is my 36th year in education, and I've worked with a lot of board chairs. I've worked with a lot of boards. And I can just say that, again, Deb, working with you has been a pleasure. Even as we're solving really hard problems, you always stay positive and kind of rise above the political fray to think about what's best for kids. And I think that's an important. Now, I love all of my board members. You guys truly are one of the best boards. I mean, the best board I've worked with. So, I mean, I'm not worried about where we're going to go because, again, I think what you've shown folks is what is the work of a board member and how do we work together in the best interest of kids. And so, again, I would just say, yay, good work done. Yep.
next on the agenda. Thanks, everyone. I have a comment. I'll do it at the board comment time. Let's hear from the Wadayama folks. This is a very exciting time. So why don't you guys come on up?
Hello, my name is Peyton Moore, and I was lucky enough to represent CVMS to our sister city school in Osaka City, Japan. One of the things I'm going to share about my trip is how the nature was so impactful and educating. With their beautiful oceans you can see in the pictures now, their gorgeous green mountains, and the care they give to the planet around us in Japan. The nature was also protected in everyday spaces. Through the trip, I felt interested and influenced by the effort and support that came from their community for the nature. With their lack of litter and their protected, blocked off areas to prevent damage from foot traffic, you can see that they care for nature. A connection I made was the river that went through the whole town, like the Willamette Valley River. The river that goes through Hyogo is called Murayama River. It's so special to see the similarities between our countries. My personal favorite thing about their nature is the history that is in and surrounds it. With nature overflowing with temples, shrines, and castles, they embrace it. With observing their nature, I could feel and learn more about their traditions and history. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Willie Remrod, and I'm a seventh grader who participated in the Chehalis Valley Middle School Japan exchange program this year. I am very thankful for this program and honored to have been a part of it. I'm here to show you how even though the people we visited on this trip didn't speak the same language as us, we were still able to have fun and communicate. We visited 3 schools on our visit to Japan, and we worked together with the students to learn better English and Japanese. We also embraced the language by staying with our host families, communicating daily. There were some challenges, but we overcame them and gained knowledge from our mistakes. While staying in Japan, we were able to stay with host families, truly embracing the Japanese lifestyle. We had 2 host days and went with our host families morning and night, embracing the food and language in a lifestyle setting, truly getting to know what it is like to live in Japan. While in Japan, we created a lifelong bond with our host families and had a one-of-a-kind experience. It was like a second home. It was hard to depart from our friends in Japan, but we know they will join us again this summer for even more fun experiences. I can't wait to show the Japanese delegates the wonders of Newberg. Thank you.
So, there's some food. Okay. So, my name is Bennett Brown, and I will be covering Japanese food in school. The first thing that I want to say is how thankful I am for this program and its opportunities. Now, for the food. Okonomiyaki is a dish prepared by overcooking noodles to sturdify them into a pancake shape before being topped with sweet and sour sauce along with mayonnaise and seaweed flakes. However, my favorite surprise food has to be the ice cream. It's perfect. So, these are a lot of the things that we did at schools. Yeah. So, Japanese schools are amazing. Imagine the cleanest school you've ever been in. It's cleaner. As an American walking into a Japanese school, you're practically a celebrity. For example, Peyton was beckoned away by a group of elementary school girls who all decided to put dandelions in her hair. At Wadayama Junior High, I chose as my after-school club to be soft tennis, or tennis with a squishy ball. There I met a kid named Hiroto. He was nice to me all day, and when I had to leave, all he asked was that I remember his name. Now, knowing that kindness, I try to reimburse it wherever I can. Thank you.
Konnichiwa, my name is Carter Culligan, and I am very proud to be a part of our sistership with Wadayama Junior High. Right here in front of me is one of Japan's marvels, known as Himeji Castle. This architectural masterpiece was made in 1333, where it has around 997 different firing holes for soldiers to shoot guns and bows out of. Inside the castle, you can view the West Pillar. It was made in 1609 and is still keeping this behemoth of a structure up today. On the left, you can see the frame that the Japanese architects went off of for the design of Himeji Castle. Here is the Ikano silver mine. Built in 807 AD, it's significantly boosted the Japanese Industrial Revolution, with the French helping them boost this with new technology in 1868. The photo on the left is how far deep the mine goes down, with it reaching 546 miles below the Earth's surface and 217 miles in length. Here on the right is a carved-out quarry that you can see the top of the rock well they used to pull rocks to the surface. On the left, you can see a light shining and a piece of silverware. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cadence Milbourne. This exchange trip was incredibly meaningful to me because it gave me the opportunity to learn about the Hiroshima bombing incident. I was able to immerse myself in the history of Hiroshima both before and after the bombing, and the site told the story of the tragedy in such a heartfelt and moving way. The museum, however, left the strongest impression on me. Its exhibits were deeply impactful and gave me a powerful understanding of the lifelong effects this horrible event had on the world. This is also one of the sites we saw at Hiroshima. It's a site that tells the tragic story of a little girl who was exposed to the radiation of the bomb at a very young age. Later in life, she unfortunately developed cancer. She believed a legend that if you made 1,000 paper cranes, it would heal her. Unfortunately, she passed away before she could finish the paper cranes. Today, she has a monument where people come from all over the world to make paper cranes in her honor. This exchange trip was an incredible experience for all of us. We had the opportunity to create unforgettable memories and build lasting friendships throughout the journey. Thank you for supporting and for making this exchange trip possible. Arigato gozaimasu.
Does anybody have any questions for our world travelers?
Thank you so much for sharing with us. You guys did an excellent job. I'm wondering if you've been able to share any of this information with any of your classmates back at school, and what does that look like? You gotta go to the mic again. Turn it on, please.
Okay. So after our exchange trip is done, like a week after, we go to the 6th and 7th classes, because next year, as 7th and 8th graders, they will have the opportunity to become someone who goes to the program. So we go in there, we basically do one of these slides but longer, because we have the whole class period. We answer all their questions, and we just try to get them involved mostly.
Did you guys get to do any cooking in your homestays?
Yeah. You can go first.
On my first day there, my host grandmother invited me to come make breakfast with them, and it was a great icebreaker that helped me get more familiar with the family.
Wonderful.
Yeah, one of my favorite things was kind of sharing meals with my host family. I remember this first morning I actually got sick due to travel, but even though I couldn't enjoy the food, I got into enjoy making the food and kind of learning how to. We also like a lot of their meals were cooked like around the table, so we got to share that experience together.
Oh, wonderful.
So I got to make like okonomiyaki, which I already talked about, except it wasn't burnt noodles. It was actually like pancake batter filled with meat and onions, and they just like poured the batter on a big frying pan at the table, and we just made it like a pancake.
So are you helping your parents now know how to cook that food?
No.
I see you, Rich.
I feel like the bar just got raised.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this really awkward thing of talking to you behind me with my back towards you because I need to talk into the mic, which just feels weird. But if I'm not mistaken, for at least one of you, this was your second trip over, right? Did you go before, Peyton? No, this is your first trip for all of you.
Get the opportunity.
You do. Okay, great. What was something that surprised you, like maybe caught you unexpected that you weren't anticipating?
I mean, this is kind of a silly answer, but one of the things that kind of shocked me was kind of their culture in public spaces. Like, it's very quiet, it's very clean. You could definitely tell, like, on trains and in public spaces, we were the loud Americans, and it definitely was a different culture of like expressing yourselves, and not that they were hidden, but more of their culture was different and they did it in different ways.
Does anybody else have any comments about what surprised them other than clean schools? Because that was a great one, which I feel like we heard about previously too, about how maybe do the students help clean the buildings? And is this something you would recommend for the Newberg schools?
Yes.
We are, yeah, there we go. All right. I like it.
We had a student turn 13 while he was over there. Bennett, do you want to share your story about your birthday surprise?
Yeah. So at one of the schools, there was an assembly, and not to my knowledge, they said it's someone's birthday, and they handed me a microphone. And then they were like, sing. So I just started singing the American lyrics to Happy Birthday, which the Japanese people did not know. So they were just like humming along, like, yeah. But it was really surprising and kind of embarrassing. But yeah. Also, on that was the day before my birthday. On my actual birthday, when we were getting picked up to go to our host families, my host mom popped like a firecracker and had Oliver, who's not here today, do it with her. Yeah. And then, oh yeah, and I also, on my birthday, I won a claw machine. So I got like a giant teddy bear. Yeah.
You had said that you picked your after school activity was squishy tennis, soft tennis.
Yes.
What did the rest of you choose for your activities?
Oh, wait, one sec. We had two soft tennis things, so or two after school activities. So my other one was band.
I also played girls soft tennis, which it was very squishy. And then with my host sister, I did kendo, which is it felt very performative, but it's kind of a fighting sport, and it's used with a lot of padding and a bamboo stick.
I also, like Peyton, did kendo. It was very fun. I also did baseball with Carter. The boys there were like so nice. They kept complimenting us on our throws.
For the first school, I also did soft tennis, and it was so fun. Everyone was so nice. And then that was actually the second school. And then for the first school, I did volleyball, and those people were so nice. I got really hot because obviously we were in outfits like this, so not very athletic. And I got super hot, and they like pulled me off to the side and gave me some water and like brought out a huge fan for me. It was so sweet.
For my first after school activity, I did basketball, and the people there were very excited to see me. They haven't had very many delegates play basketball in the past. So when I was there, they were super nice and welcoming. And then for the second club, I played baseball with Willa, and it was intimidating. I'm pretty sure one kid hit like 13 over the fence. So it was very interesting.
Could you give us a little preview of your summer plans when they come to visit and what you guys have to look forward to for that?
Well, when they come in the summer, we do have an itinerary. We are visiting Newport one day and visiting the aquarium. We're gonna have a Portland day, exploring downtown Newberg too, that kind of thing.
Like Willa said, we have 5 days of itinerary, but we have 2 days of host family, and we get the evening with our host family. So like me personally, my host sister very much explained she wants a really big hamburger, and she wants to go to amusement park and to walk on the beach. So we're planning on maybe trying some sort of local fair or maybe Oaks Park. And then we also thought Seaside is a beautiful sightseeing.
Yeah.
Any other questions for our world travelers? I guess maybe. I have a question. Where do you want to go next? Yeah. Are your parents in the audience? Yep. Okay. Start saving your money.
So actually, this summer on June 15th, me and my family are going to Europe. We're going to London and Paris for 10 days, and I'm super excited. But a place that I really want to go is probably back to Japan.
Oh, great. That's great.
Due to my parents' influence, I've always wanted to go to Jamaica because they have tons of photos of them when they went, and it was beautiful. And again, I'd love to go back and stay with my host family. Like when I left, the first thing they said, or like the things they would say, is like, come back, come back. Like, see, it's not goodbye, it's see you later. It's
Right.
I'm going to New York in the summer. Sorry, that sounded
Fabulous.
so country. Or okay, but
No.
I'm going to New York and during the World Finals for basketball and the World Cup. Yeah, Spurs in 6. Boo.
Oh, wow. Okay, anybody else have any travel dreams?
I'd like to go back to Japan.
Good. Well, that's great. And I know that you're going to have a great time showing around the other students. And I know that getting to go to the event after everybody's there, the sayonara party, is really fun. I've gotten to go a few times. So thank you, everybody, for coming. And great job with your presentation. Great job, parents. And to all of the folks that organize this every year and go and help chaperone. And it's just a really wonderful program. Okay. Dana, do you want to come up and talk with us about the school-based health center? There we go. Dr. Jerry, and Dr. Jerry's in the house.
Thank you so much for having us here tonight to talk about the school-based health center. If you don't know Dr. Jerry Turgeson, she is with me tonight because she is instrumental in kind of facilitating what happens out at the school-based health center. So hold on, there we go. So we're gonna talk to you about three things. Basically, we needed to talk to you about some rule changes, but before we do that, we wanted to just kind of give you a reminder about what goes on at the school-based health center and give you an update about all of the services that occurred there this year. So we can't do that without first acknowledging our partners, and I'm actually going to read them out loud because we couldn't run the school-based health center without these partners. So George Fox University Graduate Department of Clinical Psychology, they provide interns that Dr. Jerry supervises. Yamhill County Health and Human Services helps us with our mental health supports there. Lutheran Community Services, Providence Medical Group, the Providence Foundation, the Austin Family Foundation, and Pacific University. Oh yeah, I got to do it both places.
So just kind of going through and talking about the services that we provide at the clinic. We're super grateful for Providence from the medical sponsorship that they provide, that we have on-site physical health providers at the clinic 5 days a week. They are there from 12 to 5 and are a really amazing opportunity for us as mental health providers to consult with them around kind of that bi-directional impact between physical health and mental health, but then also really tending to a lot of the kids' physical health needs. So we provide, or not we, the medical team provides things. So like diagnosing and taking care of minor injuries. We've had kiddos who've come in, they've sprained their ankle during PE, sports physicals, well child checks, immunizations. We have some kids who come in for their chronic health management because it's just so much easier for their families for them to be able to walk across the parking lot and get that care met than have someone take time off of work and pick their kiddo up and drive them to Portland and drive them back. That can end up being a half day of missed school versus a quick 20-minute out and back, which is really amazing. We do health counseling around healthy lifestyle, nutrition, physical health, exercise, things like that. And then when we have kiddos or families that need referrals for specialty care, they provide those as well. So this last year, between September 1st of 2025 and then June 7th, so Sunday of this week, there were 1,099 visits that were provided out of the school-based health center. So a proportion of those were telehealth visits, and then some of those were being in-person and medical assistance. 266 of those visits were Newberg School District kiddos that were seen. And then mental health services. So we do a lot of mental health. And mental health need is something that has been growing year over year. We are currently providing individual therapy, group therapy. We do family-based visits, diagnostic clarification and assessment when families come in with a question around kiddos and their mental health presentations and potential needs. We do coordination of care to higher levels of more intensive resources and supports when that's needed for a kid or a family. And then we do a lot of substance use work, which includes the alternative to suspension programming. So this last year, we had 198 unique students who were engaged in therapy services through the school-based health center. The average age, we range between 5 and 21. Every once in a while, we have a staff member, teacher, or a family member of a teacher come out for support. So we provide a couple of visits to help bridge them, which is just part of taking care of the community. Vast majority, though, are that 5 to 21 age range. This year, we completed 1,336 visits. That does not include the 57 visits that were scheduled for this week. Most common presentations, suicidality continues to be top and front and foremost for the work that we're doing. Oops, can we go back? My memory's not quite that good. Non-suicidal self-injury. We have a lot of kiddos that are coming out with PTSD, trauma-related diagnoses, depression, mood disorders, generalized anxiety, a lot of disordered eating or eating disorders, substance use, and then neurodevelopmental type presentations. So wide range of kids with really complicated needs. And our kids are super high risk. So 85% of the kids, and I guess I should say all of those numbers from that last slide, those are kids that are under me. So that doesn't include the services provided by Yamhill County Mental Health or Lutheran Community Services. So we actually have more kids than that engaged in services in the district. Those are just the ones that I am responsible for. So again, ones that I am responsible for, 85% of the kiddos that we have engaged currently have some level of active suicidality that is being reported visit after visit. Of course, the acuity of that risk for suicidality fluctuates from visit to visit. So we are doing really intentional safety planning, monitoring, parental and family engagement. Kind of when I do a deep dive down and risk stratify, the numbers don't change a whole lot. They kind of move a percent here and there. But the last time I did that deep dive, of those 85%, around 35% fell into a high risk category, 40% were in a moderate risk category, and then around 25% were more low risk. And then we continue to be really lucky to have peer support and outreach services that, because of the incredible volume of need, we have leaned on more heavily to do some step down services this year, which has been a really great utilization of that support. So we have kiddos that are doing really well on their goals, they've stabilized, and they're just not quite ready to be done. We're able to transition them to peer support for kind of a couple of ongoing touches with some really intentional focus areas. Or we've had some really high risk kids that really benefit from 2 touches a week. So they have their therapy at the beginning of the week, and then they do a touch-in with the peer support to review their safety plan and how they're doing towards the end of the week, in addition to wrapping around with family members. Our peer support has also participated in our alternative to substance use. So Brandy has done incredible with the nicotine prevention psychoeducational group for those kiddos who are caught on campus with nicotine, and doing a 6-session evidence-based psychoeducation around nicotine as an alternative to suspension for those kids. She's helped to extend services, supporting twice weekly groups with a school counselor at the middle school to do anxiety-related interventions, and then has really served as kind of a service extender across the district. So if we have a counselor who's maybe out of the office for an IEP meeting, she's able to step in and be that positive, warm support. She's running notes. She plays a huge role in getting our kids scheduled. And then if there's a district identified need, she is scrounging for resources to try and make it happen. So she's provided some supports for our special education department, one of the elementary schools, family-based needs. We're paying utilities, paying rents, phone bills, just trying to keep families stable. If it's a need that we can't meet, she's working hard to find them a connection within the community. So lots of really meaningful stabilization supports and resources that she's providing, both through the bit of funding that we get from the Austins that we're so grateful, but then also partnering with our community-based organizations that can maybe fill some of those gaps in other ways.
I'm sorry, can I ask a quick question before we go too far? What does peer support mean?
Yeah, so peer support is it is a type of certification that an individual can get that they have like some type of lived experience and then have received training in how to come alongside someone else who has a similar experience. So it's
Okay, so is that somebody that's doing that still? The way I'm picturing peer is like a high schooler supporting a high schooler?
Yeah, so no, so Brandy she is working on her degree as a social worker. So yeah, so no, she is an adult. She is working on her degree as a social worker. It's a certification that you can get, and there's lots of different types of certifications. So there are like peer-based work with an addiction community. So you're partnering with someone from that framework, mental health based, but then there's a lot of a really growing body of research around youth-based family mentoring and peer support services. And that's where we really have had Brandy center this last year, is youth and family engagement.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's lovely because she can go out in the community to connect with people where they feel safe versus I'm a bit more locked down to the school-based health center, so to speak. Ready? Yep. And then we are always ever grateful for Jan and the incredible work that happens in the resource room. The resource rooms across the district are amazing, and I am so grateful that Jan agreed to move into the school-based health center with us. As of Sunday evening, they have done 3,728 visits within the resource room. One of the really magical things about moving that resource room into the shared space is we are able to do, not only am I able to take a kiddo in from a therapy standpoint and help get an immediate need met, but we have a lot of kids that are now engaged in therapy that resource room was their safe entry point, that they get in, they get connected, they make relationships, and then Jan or whoever is there volunteering for the day is able to say, like, you know, let me take you around the corner and introduce you to a therapist, which has been, I think, really powerful for those kids who might not have been able to walk into the front door of the school-based health center.
Okay, so after all that exciting thing that's happening, there has been a law change this year. Beginning July 1, a change to the Oregon law requires school-based health centers that are located on high school campuses to provide condoms and at least one additional method of birth control. The law removes the option for districts to have a birth control exemption moving forward. Let's see, it also, we've been working with Providence, and Providence has worked with their ethics and legal team to create policy around this, and they are ready to go to make us legal on July 1. So as a Providence-supported school-based health center, the school-based health center will follow the new state requirements while continuing the current practices that emphasize parental involvement. Birth control will only be provided during a healthcare provider visit and will be kept in secure locations within the health center. So they won't just be laying around for kids to access. Healthcare decisions are made based on each student's individual needs, with family engagement encouraged whenever possible. And depending on the situation, care may include an on-site visit, a prescription sent to a pharmacy, or a referral to a specialist. All services are going to be provided in a manner consistent with Providence Catholic healthcare guidelines. So as you know, in Oregon, adolescents can get birth control at a medical clinic without parental consent. But at our school-based health center, we actively encourage parent involvement for all visits and maintain a strong family engagement protocol. And we have not suppressed any medical billing right up until this point, which could you explain what that means?
Yeah, so within the state of Oregon, adolescents, not only can they initiate and consent to their own healthcare at age 15 for medical services, and then it is much more open around age of consent for reproductive and sexual health related concerns. So our teens can independently consent. We also have legislation within the state of Oregon that allows a teenager to request a suppression of a medical bill, which means so every time you go to a visit, you bill your insurance, that explanation of benefits shows up that says like, you saw Dr. Jerry and this was billed. And so we can there can be a request for suppression that is sent to the insurance company so that that explanation of benefits shows up essentially blank or can be redirected to a different address. And we have never done that at the school-based health center.
So just keep in mind as we talk about this, that this is a change in law and policy. It's not a change of practice for the school-based health center. I'll have you talk about this slide too.
Yeah. So we are really committed to parental engagement. That was one of the pieces of feedback that we heard loud and clear from the community when we were first working to open the doors of the school-based health center. And it is something that we have maintained day in and day out since that time, as being really intentional in how we are engaging with families and what that family engagement looks like. So when I went back and tallied through, I thought it would be helpful for you all to have an example. So we have right now 90.7% of our individuals who are actively engaged at the school-based health center have active parental engagement. So of those 9.3%, I'll tell you kind of the whys in just a minute. Every kid that comes in has a risk assessment done, a suicide assessment as part of that, and then all of them, regardless of parental, like there is a safe adult that is engaged if there's imminent risk or safety concerns. The 9.3% who do not currently have guardian engagement, they kind of filter out into a couple of different areas. So if you want to go to the next one. So they are either over the age of 18 and are denying parental engagement, and they are legally 18, or they are legally emancipated and they have provided documentation of that legal status. They are kids who have identified active and ongoing risk and safety concerns within the home, which has included things like parental substance use and addiction, physical abuse and emotional abuse, where we have then made appropriate reports to CPS DHS as indicated based on those presentations. Or they are an unaccompanied houseless minor. Those are where the categories right now are falling for our kids that don't have active parental engagement.
So with that, we'll leave it open for questions if you have any. And then talk about a few things that we have upcoming.
I've got a couple questions. With the suppression of the medical bills, how does that get communicated to the students?
Well, so it's not something that we are doing. And to be honest, we've not had a student ask us to do that.
But it's the right that they,
there is legally the right to do that.
so how do they get notified that there's a right to do that?
That's actually a really great question, and I'm going to have to research that.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I've
Just from an informed,
I have navigated it when I historically way back worked on the Providence Clinic on the other side of town. But it's not been something that we've done in this setting.
and you may not have come up against it if most of your students are having parental engagement already. But, as we sort of move into a different territory, which I 1,000% applaud, that we're moving in the right direction with this, that the exemptions are being pulled back, and we're going to be able to utilize an opportunity to talk about positive, healthy care of students across the board. I had a question about the suicide risk, because I know that it's very, it's important conversation for every community. I know McMinnville's kind of struggling out with it with what are the prevention tools at your disposal once you start like talking to these kids about it, other than like when we're thinking about prevention as a whole about, suicide, you're trying to throw the net wide and try to capture, some folks that might be dealing with it. Are there things happening at the school around suicide prevention, or maybe Mark Brown would know?
That's actually a really good question. And we do have a suicide prevention plan that I would be happy to share at some point. And we could maybe get deeper into some of that. It has all those details in it.
Okay. And the resource room, I have volunteered. In fact, I volunteered last Friday. It is such a great spot for kids to come. And it was so fun at graduation to see some of the kids that were regular kids coming through the resource room. And to see them graduating and doing well. And so I think, I mean, that is a huge opportunity for us to lend some support to kids who maybe just don't even want to be in the like they just come and get a granola bar. They're always disappointed when Jan's not there and I'm there and I'm like, sorry, I'm sorry, just me. But yeah, Jan puts out a lot of love to all the students that come. So that's really wonderful.
Well, I want to say thank you. One thing that you said, Dr. Jerry, that struck me in particular is that this is what we do to care for our community. And I think that just exemplifies the school-based health center. I'm curious for folks who maybe don't know that we have this health center or a place that will provide these services. Who is eligible for care and resources here?
Yeah. It's a really great space to come if you want to get in for a quick medical appointment. And we would love, I mean, we would love to have more. So any Newberg School District student and family is more than welcome to come in and access the school-based health center. It's a great resource. They can do a lot of really good things there for your basic preventative general health and then help you get connected to the right person if you need more than what they can offer. So, and then similarly, our behavioral health supports are open. Our medical providers refer to us regularly, as do our school counselors. And then we similarly take an approach that we will get you started. And if we're not the right spot, then we will help connect to the right level of care based on need.
And families don't need to be affiliated with Providence Insurance in any way, right?
No, so Providence takes a full range of insurance. We are also in network for OHP, YCC. There's a couple of like Kaiser is the wonky exception. So if Kaiser Permanente, we're still working on that. They don't want to play nice, but Tori's working on it. But for the most part, we can get folks in and figured out. And if you are a family that is uninsured or underinsured, we have a really positive relationship with Providence's financial assistance program and work really hard to get folks connected that way. Or if you are struggling with OHP, we have a great relationship with a community-based partner who has an OHP accessor who we've been able to connect families to, and they can like access the OHP portal and sign people up.
Awesome.
So, which is amazing.
That is amazing. The care for the community just doesn't stop. It's great. How do families in our schools, I mean, the proximity to the high school and to Mountain View and to Maple Rush sort of, I imagine would benefit those school communities. If you're in Dundee or at Ewing Young or at Chehalem Valley, how do you get connected? What happens inside of our schools that helps get students and their families connected with?
So I think one of the things that we're really intentional about, and I'll let you speak this too, is we try to bring services to the schools themselves, which is very helpful from that transportation standpoint. So I have an intern that spends a day a week out at Ewing Young. I have trainees on site at Mountain View Middle School. We have Lutheran Community Services. So we have behavioral health services that are on site. Our schools are generous enough to give us some space that we make use of. And then we have a great partnership around like, here's the kiddos on our schedule, and they help facilitate getting those kiddos to us. Medical or some of the more complex referrals tend to come through like the school-based like student support team meetings or the school psychologists or the school counselors who are interacting with kiddos. So, and then we have, I think Brandy has nudged all of the school principals to include a blurb about the school-based health center regularly in all of the weekly emails that go home, just as a reminder. So, and I've seen it in the superintendent's corner as well. So.
Thank you.
How many schools in the local area, how many districts have a school-based health center?
So McMinnville has a school-based health center and Willamina have a school-based health center. Yamhill Carlton used to have kind of like a by proxy, but I don't know the status of that one right now. Locally, Willamina is the longest standing school-based health center in our area. They're supported by Virginia Garcia for their medical sponsor. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for this update. I have always been really interested in the work of the school-based health center. And one thing I appreciate is how transparent you guys have been from the very beginning in terms of taking into consideration the community input and just how clear I feel like you have been. I very much appreciate that. And I appreciate this update to stay in line with state, law, which I respect and think is very important, but also you've been very clear about the services that you offer, and I appreciate that. I'm wondering if you could talk us through sort of that pipeline of what it may look like for a student who may be identified at school. How does a student move from sort of seeing a counselor at school to then maybe becoming more of a consistent mental health patient? And what does that experience look like for the student? How is the family looped in? And just what does that pipeline look like?
Do you want to start with like MTS? I'll start and then she'll pick up. So at the school level, a student might be referred to what they call an SST team, where they discuss student need, and then they might make a decision as a team that the student needs more support than we're able to provide here at the building. And so they'll make a referral. It could be to Lutheran, to one of their groups. It could be to Yamhill County. We have skills groups in the buildings that Yamhill County are supporting. And then if those supports aren't enough, then they'll make a referral on to Dr. Jerry or to Yamhill County at the school-based health center. And then what? You take it from there.
So the amazing Katie is an incredible resource who really, I think one of the things that the school district has done so well is having someone who kind of has this unofficial joint appointment. She is a Newberg School District employee, but we have been able to like credential her under the Providence hat as well, so that legally Providence is in compliance with her being part of our medical team from that standpoint. So she is able to, she kind of serves as a hub. She receives all of those referrals. And then we work to identify who we think is going to be the best therapist, the best support, or the best resource based on the identified needs. If you have any questions, we reach out to the referral source and collaborate with them. My goal is always to try and start kids in the right spot so that we're not jumping from provider to provider. Or if we know like maybe there's a really acute risk, like we're just very clear on the outset. You're going to start with me and I'm going to see you. We're going to risk assess safety plan, and I'm going to help get you coordinated and connected to an intensive outpatient program to really fully address the needs that you have. But we were able to be clear with that on the outset. And then because of the memorandum of understanding that we have, we're able to do some pretty intentional consultation and feedback, assuming that the family is comfortable with that and the kiddo is comfortable with that, that we do monthly case consult meetings and regular connection and collaboration on the school side. We don't tell everything that happens in therapy, but if there are things that would be helpful for the school to know to take good care of the kiddo from an educational standpoint, we're able to kind of loop that back in. And then on the flip side, we get really great feedback because sometimes we have a busy middle schooler who comes in and like, I'm doing great. I've had no problems. And then the school's like, they're doing great. And they flipped over 3 desks this week. We're like, okay, we can work on that. But it just provides a really nice way to help partner. So we try to make that as seamless as possible. More often than not, the school counselors are also reaching out to families to let them know we're making this referral. This should be the person who will be calling you. So we try to really be as coordinated as we can in that journey.
So that last bit was kind of my follow-up question. So when the counselor is kind of taking that to the next level, typically that is when you're going to see that first parent outreach that we're making that sort of next step for the family.
Usually the families are involved earlier than that.
Great.
When
that.
they're in that intervention process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, for an example, my child would not be seen by, a Providence provider without informing me. Love it. Thank you.
And even though you've like been informed by the school counselor and you've signed the consent, the therapist is still reaching back out to you to like introduce ourselves and like make sure you're part of the plan as well. So it's a multi-step approach.
Thank you. Unless I'm abusive.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. I'm curious about maybe the kids that aren't identified, who are dealing with things that aren't so maybe obvious to teachers and counselors. How aware would you say that students, especially high school students, are of the school-based health center, of all the resources there who might not be led there? Is that something that's going into any classroom discussions and ways that they could be informed of things before they maybe get pushed that way so they could make that decision on their own?
I actually just phoned a friend really quick, Mr. Mark Brown, and he confirmed that yes, that is happening
Awesome.
at the high school.
I can give you a few examples. So I hope it's happening this year, but there's always like the freshman fly-ups in the summer. So the school-based health center is on the tour stops for those. I know those tend to be our more high-risk kiddos. So they get toured through. We have a lot of teachers who have been like in years past, we've done like trainings for the teachers. And so they've all become very familiar. So it is not uncommon that we will have, there's a couple in particular that they really identify those kids and they walk them out. I think one of the things that has felt particularly meaningful is that our kids are aware of the resource and our kids know that it's a safe space. So we regularly have people who show up that they're like, hey, I have a therapist here and this is my friend and they need one too, which gives us a chance to kind of connect with that kiddo and learn a little bit from their perspective about what's going on and how we can help them loop back around. Again, because of the memorandum of understanding, there have been a handful of times this year where I'm like, ooh, this, because I supervise everybody, like, ooh, this name, which is not one of our kids, has come up 3 or 4 times in different ways. And so then we kind of like loop back in with the school counselors. We're like, are you aware of this individual? Maybe you could like reach out, do a soft touch, and are they on your radar or not? Which has been super meaningful.
That's really great to hear. Thank you.
Every once in a while, somebody will post something on Facebook about how, oh my gosh, kids can get medical care and parents aren't allowed to go into their appointments, which makes me crazy because that's not the truth. And so I really appreciate the emphasis you put on engaging the family and the support. It is critical that that law is in place that at age 15, you're able to seek your own care for certain reasons. And I've had plenty of reasons in my professional work that has been really important. But I really appreciate the emphasis that you put on support for the student from the whole family or the whole support group. And, you know, if people are listening and getting upset about the school-based health center, I just really encourage them to be more educated about what you're actually providing. Because I think, and I remember there was just so like some wild Facebook stuff, you know, going on. So trying to combat that false narrative with real information is really helpful. And I really applaud the work that you guys have been doing. So thank you.
I think the thing that having, you know, both in Hillsborough and Forest Grove, we had school-based health center, the numbers are, they're very impressive. And so again, I think that's another thing. Uh, this program kind of evolved from 2015, I want to say, is when we had kind of a cluster of suicides. And this notion of Providence, the schools, community working together, it's different than what I've seen in other places. And so it's a special thing here right now. And I do know we're concerned about sustainability and how do we create system that's going to do this for a while. So I just want to commend both Dr. Jerry and Dana and everybody involved in there's been a lot of folks over the years who have put time into this. It is special. It is different than many, many places. So I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah, since this is my first full year here, I've learned a lot about the school-based health center and I'm just blown away by it all of the time, especially though I've been involved in a few referrals and just the effort that you make to include families is tremendous. And I think families really appreciate it. But what we have coming, we are working on a sustainability plan. We've got some ideas in the works and we're really thinking, you know, we know that our community needs this and appreciates that our students you know, benefit from this. So we're working on a plan. One of the things that, because I'm new this year, it's been so hard for me to really figure out, I don't know how many times I've called Dr. Jerry to say like, tell me about this, tell me. So we're going to work really hard next year to really articulate the school-based health center. so that it's not such a mystery for people. So we're going to be working on that. You mentioned several of your questions were about how do people know? That's another thing we've been talking about. We're going to have part of our plan to be about increasing awareness about the school-based health center and who qualifies and how they access it. And then this fall, we're hoping to host an open house. So we're going to look forward to invite you guys to come to an open house at the Schools-Based Health Center and check it out. So.
It's great. Do we have any other questions? You guys did a great presentation.
One more comment to make, just a comment, not a question, but I've known Dr. Turgeson since graduate school, and she's become one of the, close your ears, you'll be embarrassed. She's become one of the most well-respected child psychologists in the region. I think she could easily have her pick of jobs anywhere. And her service here, it just blows my mind. As a child psychologist myself, I'm like, who would do this? Who would do this? This complicated? This, like 35% of them are high risk suicide cases. What? Would I take that risk on? Probably not. But she develops programs and she figures it out, and she does it out of care for our community and care for our kids. So thank you.
I wanted to just make one final comment as well, kind of where I started, and that is just of gratitude to recognize our partners in this work one more time, from county partners to private partners to Providence to, right. It's incredible to see the partnerships that make this possible. So thank you, Dr. Jerry. Thank you to everyone else who's a part of making this work for our community.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yep. So Dana, you've got the comprehensive substance abuse prevention and response plan.
Pass that around. I brought hard copies of the plan itself to share with you. I did, but I'll do it again. Boardroom. Okay. So I brought hard copies for you of the plan itself. And there's a lot of links in it. So if you're one of those people that likes to go to all the links, if you go to our webpage, to the special programs webpage, you will find the plan there so that you can actually follow the links if you're curious about those links.
There's also a link in the board packet on that page.
Perfect. Oh yeah, I did do that too. All right. So the goal of this comprehensive substance abuse and prevention and response plan is to obviously helping all students learn, belong, and succeed in their neighborhood schools. There is a lot of different OARs. Oops, I forgot. I've got to do it both places here. There's a lot of different OARs and ORSs and guidelines and laws and policies around substance abuse. So what this OAR here, 581-022-2045 does is it brings them all together and requires school districts to put them all into one substance abuse plan. And so as part of that plan, we have to present it to the school board, and then the school board has to give approval of the plan. Now, keep in mind, all of the things inside of it are required by law. So you're really just approving the way we've all put it all together, not the things in it, because they're all required by law, which is kind of a funny thing about this. But so as we put together our substance abuse plan, we consulted with these people, our K-12 counselors. Our teaching and learning department had played a big part in this because so much of this is heavy to curriculum. So thank you, Holly, she double checked to make sure we had all the curriculum right. Our school-based health center staff gave input, Yamhill County Mental Health, Lutheran Community Services. It's been posted on our website for review, and then we've had quite a few other eyes on it. So we didn't do this in isolation. One of the things that is required, this is the one thing in the plan that is actually not required by any other law other than this OAR, is a philosophy statement. So our plan, we tried to focus it on prevention, education, and early support for students. We want to work with families and community partners to provide resources and help when needed early and often. And our goal is to support all students while maintaining accountability in a safe school environment. So that the philosophy statement itself is one whole page, but that kind of is it in a nutshell. So there are some big buckets, and this is the first big bucket, which is evidence-informed prevention education. And for all students at Tier 1, we have an adopted health curriculum, K-12, that includes all of the required components of prevention education for substance abuse. And then we have some social emotional learning components that are aligned with Oregon's CEL standards and the CASEL standards that we use as a district. At tiers 2 and 3, it really starts to break out into very small groups. We heard Dr. Jerry kind of refer to some of those, and then one-on-one supports. And all of those things are talked about in more detail in the plan when you read it. Communication is another bucket of the plan. So really at different levels, K through 12, it looks different, but there is school-wide messaging campaigns like age-appropriate flyers and booths or tables at events and things like that. There have been some school and partner events that have occurred and will continue to occur throughout the district. Again, age-appropriate events, informational tables, assemblies, all those kinds of things. And then there is a required yearly parent guardian, now I have the hardest time saying this, naloxone letter on opioid overdose information and resources. That's required by law, and that will be going out this year in August for the first time to our families. And then these are some of the prevention strategies that you'll find outlined. Health and prevention education, that's our K-12 curriculum, social and emotional learning supports. We have different things like at elementary, it might be found in PACS learning and strategies or PBIS strategies, where we're really teaching kids to, what are the right things, right kinds of behavior, and how to talk about their emotions and different things like that. Obviously, we have our mental health awareness activities, our school counseling services, positive school climate initiatives like WREN and other things like that that are happening, student connection and engagement opportunities, all of these things that are happening to support our students. And you'll find way more details inside of the plan about some of those.
And so this is where DARE would fit in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. And there are links to a whole bunch of stuff in this plan. So our intervention and referral processes. So when in the buildings, when concerns about substance use arise, oops, thank you. This is hard for me to do this. My brain doesn't work like this very well. When concerns about substance use arise in the building level, the building teams try to really focus on early intervention, support, and safety for the students. So students are connected with the appropriate supports that could be assessments, counseling, community resources, whatever the team feels is appropriate for the student. And obviously families are engaged right away when we're doing these things. We're always, though, trying to prioritize student dignity as we go through this and use trauma-informed practices.
I would like to just applaud you for having student dignity on there. It's a very judgy arena, and I think that that's really a hard. So I love that you have student dignity as the top one under the priorities.
Yeah. The team, there was a lot of feedback about that as people reviewed the plan. So you need, here's another bucket that's really important. You need to address your overdose prevention and emergency response planning. So obviously, if there's an overdose or an emergency, safety is of utmost
concern and priority. So our immediate intervention is to call 911. If we have trained staff available, we notify them. We notify our nurses. We administer first aid, naloxone, anybody who's trained in that. We make parent notification as soon as possible throughout that process. There could be law enforcement engagement and involvement. There's all kinds of documentation and follow-up that we have to do. And there's always a referral to assessment and treatment if they qualify for that. And then sometimes there's disciplinary action. But before the disciplinary action, before we even get there, we're making sure the student is safe and all those other components are being taken care of.
I have a question about the immediate intervention, because I did read in your stating up here, certain staff are trained. What is the notification like? And maybe this is more of a question that Mark can answer if you can't. Like at the high school, if somebody overdoses in class, how does the trained staff or any staff trained get notified that we have an emergency in room 101 or whatever?
So Mark, I mean, you want to explain how that would work at the high school?
So at the high school, we have within our in-building phone system, there's a number, I won't say it out loud, but there's a number that a 4-digit extension that can be dialed that every single administrator, secretary, counseling office, and health room phone it rings on. So you're not just trying to, hoping that one person is at their desk. All of us get that phone call and we can see that it's a fit. I won't say the number. We can see that it's that extension. And so then at that point, anyone who's also getting that phone call then has radios. So then there's a radio call that goes out so that all emergency trained staff go to that area. And then we have a protocol for, first on scene, and then backups are going to meet law enforcement, ambulance, who's ever coming, emergency personnel.
Thank you. And for sake, I hope this has never happened at the high school or any of our schools. What is there a procedure then, say if it's in a classroom or in an open area where there's other students, are you clearing the classroom then at that point? And
yeah, we have room clear protocols where obviously the first focus is let's take care of that kid, that person, whoever it is, staff member. And then again, the next on scene, their priority would be getting the room clear and going to whatever space is available.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And each of our buildings have protocols for this. And our nurses train the staff around naloxone and how to use it. For some reason, it's not moving now. Oops. Okay. So as part of the plan, we are required to train staff. And so we have a plan to train this year, we're going to train all district staff. So everybody during the Safe Schools program trainings at the beginning of the year. And then moving forward, all new staff, when they get hired, will take a training around substance abuse and how to recognize signs of it, how to refer, and how to respond. And then we do have designated staff, like we just kind of referenced, who are trained on specific responses and emergency protocols. And that is actually it for the plan. Do you have any questions about it?
So you're going to come back to the maybe next meeting and ask for the vote. Okay.
So yeah, we need an action item next meeting. We need a board approval of the plan itself. So.
Is there a way we can log into the Great Body Shop? So I just went to click one of the links and it needs me to log in. I'm just curious. Nice, thank you. And then the only other comment I'd say is, I assume everyone knows it at the schools, but you don't need to be trained in naloxone to administer it, because even if you're not, it's still.
It has directions right on it. Yeah, it's pretty intuitive.
This is awesome. I look forward to digging in more. One question, I love the philosophy statement. I love that we've put some time to really think that through. I was curious, I was looking for it towards the beginning. And it's towards the end. I was just curious about the placement of it there.
Yeah, it's funny because we kind of wrestled with that. So the the OAR, we kind of followed the rules of the OAR to get things in place, and we wrestled back and forth. Well, we kind of think the philosophy statement, and then we agreed, oh, let's follow this. So that's kind of how we ended up with that. I am not sold on where that lives in the plan myself, but that's just kind of how we wrestled it through as everybody looked at it.
Yeah.
So that's why it ended up there.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It sounds like there was some intentionality there.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to point out is a lot of what is linked in here in terms of curriculum are state standards, like there's state academic standards. I mean, even as young as kindergarten, our students have standards around how to use medicine correctly. That would is part of this work. And so I like that this is connected to some of our academic work, as well as being something that could potentially save a student's life. Yeah.
And that's what you'll see as you go through the whole plan. You'll see things that are familiar to you that you've seen other times and in other presentations, like when Holly has presented about health curriculum adoption. You're going to see it again because that's what ODE is doing, right? They're bringing it all, or that this law and then ODE, they're bringing it all together in one spot.
Well, it sounds like you guys have done a lot of really great work around this, and you certainly have a lot of really fabulous people on staff who know a lot about this. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Christie at this point? Okay, well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And we'll make sure this gets on an agenda. Okay, so I'm listed as the person to talk about the superintendent evaluation, but I've asked Jeremy to do it because he sort of saved me from a technology point and then sort of ran with it. So I appreciate the initiative and have asked him to take on this.
Sure. It's in the board packet, so I'm not going to read everything verbatim. I'm just going to kind of go over what was done and then just review the, couple sentence executive summary and then the rating summary and kind of translate that for anybody listening. So essentially, we had at the beginning of the year, Dave and working with us as the board, defined 4 areas or themes around what he was going to focus on. And essentially, we took that and ran with that for an evaluation. It's basically a Google's form situation where we sent it out to all the board members and we collected the feedback. And he does have direct feedback. This is just more of the executive summary and higher level themes and comments for the general public. So essentially, the executive summary, we, the board, view your performance, Dave Parker, as that of a high-performing, trusted leader with ratings centering in the strong to exemplary, wow, I said that wrong, exemplary range across most domains. Our feedback reflects clear momentum and growing confidence, along with focused need to strengthen long-term financial clarity and sustainability planning. The next section, if you're reading along online, is just kind of ratings as summary. Our rating goes from low to high, and if you want to equate this to kind of like a 1 through 5, needs improvements like a 1, developing is a 2, effective is like a 3, strong is a 4, and exemplary is a 5. So under communication visibility, he's essentially effective to strong, so more 3 to 4 range, with a couple of the board members rating him as exemplary. Instructional impact is strong to exemplary, so a 4 to 5, and this is kind of the top performing area. And then strategic planning and governance is also, again, strong to exemplary, again, that 4 to 5 range. And then financial stability, again, that effective to strong, so more that 3 to 4 range. And this kind of had the widest variation of comments in, but it definitely is including, somebody had the comment of developing in this. So again, the themes are there. I'm not going to read all those. If you have a chance to download this or whatever, you can read all those. And again, we did present this with it's also mentioned a graph under rating summary. There's a graph to visualize the ratings in what we presented to Dave. And then again, also the very specific comments under each question as they were here, as they were captured within the form. So, anything else?
You're doing good. You're doing great. I know this is hard because you don't like to hear the good things. But thank you.
Yeah.
Just continue. You've put in so much work, especially around, helping the community understand why the impacts of a levy. I mean, you've done more community outreach as a superintendent than um, any really superintendent that I've worked with. And just so the community understands, you really taught us how to do evaluation because we didn't have anything to work on. What's the hard part about having a board that has no institutional knowledge, because we all came on, is that you don't have those folks on the board that know how to lead that. And so not only did you teach us, but you've set us up for success going forward when you do decide to really retire and then bring on another superintendent. So that is a really critical piece too that I appreciate. So
Thank you.
does anybody have any comments, or do you have any comments?
Yeah, I do. I appreciate the feedback. That's always good. I had an experience today that I just wanted to. Holly sent out a survey to all of our staff asking 2 questions. What are we doing better this year than we were last year? And what gives you hope? And next board meeting, I'm going to present the data from it. But what I think is interesting is, again, the 4 areas that we're kind of really focused on: communication, improving student outcomes through better instruction, kind of strategic planning and getting kind of our sustainability of our district moving forward, and then last, financial sustainability. I think you'll see overlap there that I think will be really encouraging to you as a board, like the work that you've done, that we've done, actually hit it. It impacted people. And so I was just very encouraged as I was going through and working on it. So I'll present it next time. I think it deserves like its own moment to kind of hear what our staff is saying, even in the face of kind of some tougher things next year. There's quite a bit of hope because of the things that we put together. And so I just appreciate being here. I appreciate being able to do good work and be around people who want to do good work. So, I'm actually feeling pretty like excited. I am going to go fishing for a while this summer. I will say that.
Good. You deserve it.
But no, I appreciate being here. I appreciate the people I'm working with, and we have lots of more work to do to kind of get us into a place of stability, but it's good. Thank you.
I think this is also a great opportunity to just reiterate again that our goals as a board are patterned after the superintendent's goals. And so we are all mutually invested in this body of work, and it is the subject of all of our collective learning. And so I appreciate the ways that the two-way street, the ways that you help bring new learning to us, everything from, district level plans today via district staff to kind of your personal thoughts about where things are going and sort of helping us understand that vision. So thank you.
Okay, is that enough being on the hot seat? I'm with you, buddy. Okay, Nate, why don't you talk to us about the budget appropriation transfer?
Good evening. Really just a business item. This feels like the last time that I have a chance to make an appropriation transfer, and I just want to make sure I have enough space. I know I have plenty of space in the 2000s, and so just moving some appropriation up to the 1000 level just so I don't worry. So thank you. Nothing out of control. Just want to have that capacity there. And again, this is no change in budget allocation, just where the spending can happen.
Can you, I'm trying to read the summary a little bit. Can you just give a high level why we're needing to maybe do this change?
Yeah, so I can back up a couple steps here. So appropriation level is the defined areas where we make expenditures, and why I'm moving is because we've had higher expenses in the education level or the instruction level this year, and we did an appropriation transfer earlier but it's just, there's just not enough, there is enough space there, but it doesn't feel like enough space. You know what I mean? So I know I have lots of space in the 2000s. So it's just a cautionary move so that we don't have an expenditure that ends up out of appropriation, ends up on the audit next year. So it's not that we're over budget. It's just where that budget is being moved to. Does that help?
Oh yeah, I just want to make sure everybody is aware.
Yeah.
People listening too. So thank you.
I move that the Newberg Dundee School Public Schools Board of Directors approve Resolution 2026-15, revisions to the appropriations of the general fund as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, you want to talk to us about the fund balance policy exception?
No. Yes. So board policy DBDB identifies, and we've talked about this before, percentages of fund balance for the district to maintain, which is a 2% reserve and a 5% ending unappropriated ending fund balance, or totaling 7%. And in the current budget, that 2% represents nearly 1.2 million, and a 5% unappropriated ending fund balance is nearly 3 million. So a total of 4.175 million would be what would have to be outside of our current expenditure level. And we're currently projecting about a little over 1% as our fund balance. And so there's no way we're going to be able to meet that. So this is a request for an exception to policy DBDB.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a question. This is for everybody. Did we do this last year, this time, like the last time right before the end of the year? Or did we already exclude it for this year? Do we know? Have we gone back and looked at our history?
We did about this time last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is why it came up again this year.
That's fine. I just want to make sure we're not double doing the same thing. Or I thought we covered it for a couple years, but that's fine. So
we could do that in the future if that's what you wanted. But
I don't think I want to do that. I think I'd rather do this year by year and see if we can, we need to get this.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So
Plus, it just brings the attention to it every year. It's
Yeah.
an important
Yeah.
component to our sustainability.
well, my mic's off, so I'll read it. The Newberg Dundee Public School Board of Directors permitted an exception to and waive the requirements of policy DB for the 2025-26 school year.
Second.
Any further questions? No? Really? Going once? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan. Mark, you want to come on up? Talk to us about the trap team going to Michigan, my home state.
Yep. So you should have it there in your packet. That's the approved form that both Superintendent Parker and I have signed and approved for our trap team. So I believe they're sending 5 students back there. They've done this the last couple of years back in Michigan. Always a great experience. Really, really cool club. I've had over 50 participants the last couple of years. So one of the bigger teams had a lot of success, but just a really cool way to connect a lot of kids who maybe otherwise aren't connected in the high school to the high school. And they are very proud to wear Newberg High School trap team across their shirts and their shooting vests. So yeah, just hoping to allow them to go
practice.
The Newberg Rod and Gun Club out in Dundee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's 100% volunteer driven. They actually have to turn away volunteers. They have so many people wanting to help volunteer with this program. So really, really cool way that the community supports students.
I just wanted to share, I was at a track meet over the weekend, and I was in the stands, and there was I couldn't quite reach the student, but there was a Newberg student wearing a trap team sweatshirt. And there was this whole conversation of parents around me about like, what is that? What do they have? And then they were looking up the team. They're like, oh my gosh, this team's really good. And so this whole conversation. So it was exciting to eavesdrop on.
Yep.
Great.
I had an odd experience several years ago where we were traveling and in Ohio, and we got put in the hotel where they put up all of the trap teams for the national competition. It was the funnest environment. The kids were having a great time, and it was just really a neat environment. So when I saw this, it just brought back really good memories of what those kids were experiencing in their experience. So I just, again, I'm really excited for them.
And I want to highlight them real quick. I'm really proud of this team. David Craig, the coach who's started it and been doing it for a long time, he's handing over to Trevor now. But as a club, they don't have to abide by all of the academic eligibility, behavior eligibility rules, but they choose to. So they have on their own made the decision that in order to participate, you have to follow all the academic behavioral. So they're in constant contact with us. They're doing grade checks there if we have any behavior issues. So just really proud of again, the program that the coaches and volunteers have built out there for our students.
I do have a question, and it's fine that I think there's just one chaperone, but is there multiple parents going?
Yeah, so all the students, their parents will be going with
Okay.
them. But the one chaperone, he's going as our school representative.
Okay.
But then the parents are all going and they're responsible. Yeah.
So great, thank you.
I had that same question, so thank you for asking.
I move that the Newberg Dundee Schools Board of Directors approve the extended field trip request form for the Newberg High School trap team as presented.
Second.
Any further questions? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank
Good
you.
luck, trap team.
Yeah.
And I am sure we'd love to hear about how it goes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right, Dave, do you want to start us off with the?
Yeah. So as we close out the 25-26 year, I just want to take a moment to reflect on what has actually been a really good year. And no question that I think for us, it's been a challenging environment, just dealing with the financial pressures. It's demanded a lot of time of us and maybe the adults in the organization. But I had kind of an experience on Monday that just made me remember what we're really doing here. So I got a call from Joanne Austin to go over there for their Monday morning assembly. And they were giving away their attendance rewards. And so they started with all of the students who had 95% or better attendance in the second half of the year. And they started calling out the names, and they started on the baseline, and they lined kids up, and they went down the baseline. They went down the whole length of the court, and then they went down the other baseline with the number of kids who had 95% or better. There may be a board member here who had multiple children receive awards. And then they did 95% or better for the entire year. They again lined them up and they went down a baseline, down the entire length of the court and around the court again. Just again, I know, I was talking to Leslie, our principal there, and then several of the staff, just they've been working really hard to make school not only instructionally good, but fun to be there. And it was just great for me to be reminded again that, yeah, we may have had some challenges this year, but what's been going on inside our classrooms has been really good. And I'll tell you that we're looking at our interim data. We're seeing some very positive trends, certainly areas for us to work on, but lots of positives. Our principals have kept the building stable and steady and kept the focus on instruction. Our teachers show up every day focused on kids. And like I said, I've got some data that I'll bring back to you next time that I think will be encouraging in this. But it's just, when I think back on this year, I think, again, I'm thinking about a lot of the challenges that we had, but I forget that school's been great. We all sat there and watched the graduation and saw the kids come get their diplomas and such. And it's just a reminder that, we're a big organization and we impact a lot of people, and our impact is everybody, not just the problems that are in our organization, but everybody. I will also say I went over to get pho for dinner, and the kid who served my my pho was also somebody I shook hands with on Tuesday night. So he was like, yeah. So, again, I think I'm just trying to remember that this was a good school year. So next year, I'll also say it's going to be a good school year. We've got some challenges, but you know what? Newberg is rooted together, growing strong, and that hasn't changed.
Graduation was, as always, one of my favorite events that we do every year. It's just awesome to get to see all those kids cross the stage, and that they're very gracious to us, rather random people to them, to give us high fives as they're going through there. It's a great time, and thank you to all the teachers and staff for an awesome year. It is good to make sure that we remember how good things are. Deb, thank you for all you've done over the last 3 years. We would be in a much worse place without your leadership. So I really, really appreciate that, and all you've done to just help bolster our community through your service. So thank you, and don't be a stranger.
Yeah, that was first on my list. Is thank you, Deb. You've been through the thick of it. I've shared it with you this year. It hasn't been, I don't think it's been as thick as it has been with when you and Nancy were together, or you and James were together. But yeah, it was a learning moment for me this year. But I appreciate you spending time, taking on the hard stuff and helping guide us as a board as well through that time. And I'm glad that a new friend too. I mean, I don't think we'd ever cross paths without this. So, so I'm not sure the way you just said that so promptly. and that, and that, and then, yeah, okay. I was like, not sure I'd think that, but again, thank you again for that. Speaking of sports, I do at least know a couple that I do follow. So boys baseball made it third round. Unfortunately, we lost to an old rival of Twelton. It was a good game until about the fourth inning, and then it kind of went south. So, but a lot of good times with that, because my nephew who graduated was on that team, so I got to follow that through their journey. It was fun. I have to big shout out for boys lacrosse, who's coached by our own Dr. Brian Wood. They won the Cascade Cup. There are two. That is very cool. So good shout out for them. I told them that I would on their Facebook, and they all liked it, him and his wife and everybody. So there it is. But I am also just proud of them. This is a long time coming for him. I've been working with Brian since my oldest was sixth grade, trying to help build the program. So congratulations, Brian and team. So graduation again was a blast, like every other year. I'm starting to get to the point where I might not know the kids as much as I used to, because my daughter graduated last year, so I kind of knew some tricklings here, coming through this year. But still always a blast to, high five them, even though they might be reluctant. They still do it. And I appreciate that. In years past, there's been kids that still like flat out no, but like I think everybody except for the two guys in crutches gave a high five this year. And I got a hug from a person I don't know. And I'm like, she was so excited. That was awesome. So one of the best graduations, this from all 3 years is one of the better ones for sure. And then lastly, good luck trap team. I don't know if there's a way for us to follow them at all, but yeah, looking forward to results. So.
I too had a wonderful time at graduation. I got to last week attend Catalyst graduation, which was incredible. I did not get to attend last year, so this was my first time attending Catalyst graduation, and I cried the whole time. But I am a person who cries whenever youth do anything. So I also cried a lot at the high school graduation. The joy was incredible at both events. I am just so honored to be a part of it, and to high five all the kiddos. And I feel like I'm on the opposite end where each year I'm going to know more and more kids graduating, which is a very special feeling, something that I do not take for granted. I felt that this year's high school graduation was quite spirited. The kids were pumped the whole time. The rubber duckies definitely played a part in that. There was a soundtrack to the evening that was just wonderful. But I just think that, the joy is palpable all night. And thank you to all of the high school staff who were there. In addition to high-fiving everybody, my favorite part of high school graduation in the last 2 years is when the students come around the back. There's so many teachers and staff members that are back there that get to have this little moment with their students, and I just think that's just such a beautiful part of it. I also got to attend the Mountain View Art Show on Monday night. It was lovely this week to see my own student's artwork. He is not a kiddo that would identify himself as an artist, and he grew a lot in the art program this year. So my family and I are grateful for that. I know that there's a lot of promotions happening this week. We are promoting kindergartners, we're promoting 5th graders, we're promoting 8th graders. So just congratulations to all of those students and families, and to all the teachers and staff that are organizing those events. We are all quite tired, and we all appreciate those efforts for this final week. Deb, I told you I'm a crier, but I don't like crying on these things. I'm not going to look at you. Deb Bridges, you have a special gift. You have many special gifts. One of your special gifts, I believe, is that you see the potential in people, and you see the ways that other people can serve their community. I think that you give so much to your community, but you really help identify gaps, and you help fill those gaps. And I think that you have a special way of making people see their potential. And you have a way stop it, of making people feel like that hope is always the best choice. And that the greatest outcome is possible. And there have been many conversations that you and I have had where you have looked at me and said, no, you can do that. You can do that. And you make people believe that that the highest and best and most positive outcome is truly possible. And I appreciate that so much about you. You have given me confidence in myself to better serve this community. And I will always be grateful to you for that. Stop talking. Stop. Okay. Thank you for your service. And we will be bugging you all the time. Yeah. Good luck. That is it. Am I having a hot?
Well, I scribbled down a few words about Deb that came to mind for me. One of them, generosity, just willingness to show up, willingness to respond compassionately and with hope. I put advocacy in your just ardent advocacy for our students, for our community as a whole. Like, really, I'm grateful for that. And then the last one I wrote down was integrity. It's really something aspirational to see a leader and the leader of this board to operate with the integrity that you have. So thank you so much. I put just a couple comments about Wadayama. It seemed like such a great opportunity to expand student perspectives, both globally, but then as she was talking about Hiroshima, I was like, man, there's a whole historical component. They were talking about all the history and the landscape and everything. I was like, this is just international travel is a great opportunity to expand student minds. I think it's fantastic. Really proud that our district houses a school-based health center, just that families can access that will not be able to get health care otherwise if kids couldn't walk across the parking lot and get an appointment. So we have, it sounds like, very complicated and high risk students as part of that service, and I'm really grateful that our community invests in that. Dave Parker, I wrote a few thoughts just as you had to endure your evaluation. I wrote thoughtful, kind. I think the thing that stands out to me the most in working with you this year is sort of a collaborative leadership, in that you're interested in feedback and you're actively seeking it and shaping. I think that really stands out, and there's like a lot of effort you put into communication and transparency that comes along with the integrity that Deb showcased as well. So thank you for your work this year. The last thing I want, well, actually this is second to last. I went to 4 baseball games this weekend for Newberg Youth Baseball. And I'm not going to name the other district that was involved, but I will say we went to a we were at a tournament recently, and what was apparent is that these coaches who have invested in recent years in Newberg Youth Baseball have prioritized character and sportsmanship in a way that is very apparent on the field, very apparent to the umpires. And when we watch them play against other teams, when there are other districts who have kids that are really talented and then big egos and big tantrums and meltdowns and arguing with coaches and refs, it's it's surprising sometimes to the Newberg parents. We're like, whoa, that's what it could be like. But our coaches have really, they don't get to play if they aren't good teammates. So that's been really fun to see. And thank you so much to all of you Newberg Baseball board members and leadership and coaches for your work with our kids. Okay, MVMS is, I'm going to 8th grade promotion on Thursday night, and looking forward to celebrating 8th graders moving on to high school. And that's all.
All right. Well, I won't repeat too much of what's been said. Just the things that made people cry. I'm just kidding. I'll get to you, Deb. It's okay. So June is Pride Month. It's also when we celebrate Juneteenth. These are celebrations, yet they're also ways of recognizing events in history and communities that touch the lives of many of our youth. And I'm really grateful to those who create safe, welcoming, affirming spaces for our students to learn and to grow as humans. That is a collective effort, and I'm grateful to everyone in our community, particularly those in our schools. I also was very grateful to our students from Chehalem Valley and Principal Du Bois who came and talked about the Wadayami trip. What an amazing experience culturally. In terms of language, I was particularly drawn to the way the students described the physical space of the school being so clean. Students participated in keeping the space clean. That just shows a respect that extended to nature and so many other things. What a great experience. I'm glad we can do that. Last night, Deb and I both were at the Night of the Notables event at Dundee Elementary. I love this event. It is such a great, it brings families, multi-generational, it's a multi-generational event, to be sure. And it is so much fun. And shout out to the students that I couldn't guess. So for those who have never been, students take on the role of a famous person, someone who is notable, and they dress the part, and you don't know who they are. necessarily, and you have to ask questions to try to figure out who they are. And then they can reveal to you then, or you can go visit them in the museum and they've got things to hand out. It's just really well done. There's biography, there's art incorporated into it. And more than anything, the way that our students interact with so many questions, what an amazing experience for them to sort of sit in that. So nice job, Dundee Elementary. In particular, Mary Jane Bachmeyer, who is retiring at the end of this year. What an amazing legacy that she will be leaving for many, many more years. I went to the Catalyst graduation in COA as well as the high school. Shout out to our graduates, amazing chapters unfolding. I want to thank, it is worth naming a couple of people here. First, Mark Brown, excellent job. Just the way that you work with students, prepare them, prepare us for what to expect to keep that ceremony going. Very, very well done, and just super upbeat. I really appreciate the way that you show up in those events. I also want to name Angela Kantz, who takes on a lot of the organization of that event. Great work, Angela and team. At the Catalyst and COA graduation, Ben Stearns got to be one of the most amazing speakers. His message about goals and golazos, I want everyone to hear that. I hope it goes viral. I really do. Well done, Catalyst and COA students. At the Newberg High School graduation, I ran into someone whose position in our district is being impacted by the RIF. And I wasn't real sure how to talk with her about it. You know, it's kind of like the elephant in the room. And I will just say that for her and for one other person that I've talked to, the sense of resolve and optimism and hope that I hear in the face of a levy that was defeated, of some changes coming next year. You know, I feel you when you talk about just the hope that is here, you know, rooted together and growing strong. I know that may not speak to everyone's experience who's, you know, being impacted by the RIF, but for at least those two, I'm really grateful for that attitude moving forward. That was a real gift to me that night, so thank you. And then a couple of other just quick notes here. In this room, Dave, I really appreciate your integrity, the way that you listen deeply, and really are curious about what other people are, what perspectives other people carry. And so thank you for that. Thank you for the work that you're doing in our community, showing up to do some of this really, really difficult work. Much appreciated. Deb, I think there's nothing much I can say that hasn't already been said, but one thing I can add is that I will miss your glasses and the way that you rotate those out so artfully. You live at the intersection of care and community need and action. And I've learned a lot by watching the way that you work. And I suspect our paths probably would have crossed had the board not happened. But I continue to learn from you and with you, and I look forward to the next chapter that's unfolding for you. So thank you.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Just a joke, just a joke. You know, we come into this month just at a mad dash, right? So many great things going on in the schools that I really am sad when I don't get to go to things like the art program. And but the one thing that I had so much fun going to, and I know that I've mentioned this before, which is the Ewing Young music program for the first graders. Okay, there's always a Disney princess showing up, which I'm down for because I think that's fabulous in their little princess gown. But just watching the students and their music teacher and the PE teacher had a role because they had a dance that they were doing. But I just love the parent engagement, you know, because all those parents are with their phones on and, you know, and they're doing all the movements and they're singing along with their kids. And I just think about them, you know, practicing and hearing those songs and, you know, every night. And it's just as adorable. And what I is always so uplifting to be able to go to see things happening in the schools. And when we were at the Night of the Notables, which I've been to many, many, many years, and my daughter was Helen Keller, and I've gone because I'm friends with Mary Jane Bachmeyer, and I go regularly. It's something I don't like to miss. It did make me sad that Mary Jane did mention that we were board members here, and she mentioned that prior to this board, board members hadn't ever come. And I thought, what a loss for those board members, whether it's who is ever representing the Dundee zone but what a loss. And I just thought it's just such a great culmination of a lot of intensive training and working and education and research. They're drawing these cool poems, and I'm sure there's technical things for what those poems are, but they do such a great job with their presentation and how they look, how they present themselves. And there's a lot about character that's woven in. Mary Jane talked a lot about, we're talking about notables in history because of their character, because of what positive influences. And it's interesting to see who's represented in that room. And so that is just such a fun event, and recommend people go to whenever they can. I loved the graduation, both because Catalyst was the first one I had gotten to go to. So uplifting, a lot of, it's just exciting to see the energy and the excitement from the staff for those kids, and the audience goes wild, when kids are up there. And so, just to see, they put in a lot of work, a lot of challenges, and they're there, and they're going to go on and do great things. And the high school graduation, very fun. I love the singing of the Scottish cup song. I don't know. Parting Glass, that's right, the Scottish Parting Glass. But the teacher that was nominated to speak did such a great job. I hadn't met her before. You can see why the teachers loved her. And she was very funny, which I appreciated. And then I had my last volunteer day at the resource room on Friday. Chloe has been volunteering there, so I went with her, and it was great to see those kids at graduation, that I'd known through this last year. And the resource room is a great place to hang out if anybody's looking for a fun volunteer gig. I'm sad. I'm sad that this is my last board meeting. I'm also happy. So I don't want to sort of like sugarcoat it. I feel like the last 3 years has been a lot of work. It's been like dog years, and I sort of said, like, we've it's almost like I can't even remember all the things that we went through. So like when the movie version of this comes out and Charlize Theron is going to play me, because of course this tracks in like every way. I've been really contemplating who's going to play me, but Charlize Theron is perfect. But I just to think about, how we all kind of came together as, that first batch of 5 complete, mostly strangers. I knew James. I didn't really know you guys. I saw, I knew you a little bit. You're right. Our paths usually might not have crossed, but you are a great narrator of a lacrosse game, which I got to sit through a lacrosse game at Jesuits. I hadn't been to a lacrosse match, or as a game. What do you call it? A match? Whatever. And Jeremy just sat there in the back of my, like, then they do this, and then they do that, and then they do. It was really great. You did a great narration. So, I appreciate your willingness to teach me along the way. And for the folks out in the community who didn't really understand all the things going on at that time, it was just an interesting dynamic of people really coming sort of to lift us all up, the support that we got as candidates. I just thank everybody for putting their faith in us to do the work. And I'm so proud of that we're here today, that we have great leadership. I'm so thankful for getting to know people in the district, friends that I didn't have prior. And I have all the faith in the world that the hurdles that you guys will be tackling this year, you're going to be able to do it with integrity and with that transparency and with keeping kids at the center of our work always. Um, and I'm going back to thinking about the dignity, keeping that dignity for the students is really critical because you see I'm wearing my pride glasses. But I just want our kids in our community to feel valued and to be able to know that their potential in the world, that we're rooting for them. And so I thank all of you. I have so many more new friends now than I did before. And I will be rooting for you guys all to do good work. And I'm just really confident that you're going to be able to do it. And I'm just really thankful for the opportunity to serve the community and feel very blessed by that. So thank you. So as we close out our meeting, next board meeting is going to be June 23rd at Dundee Elementary School. Sorry, I'll be missing that. But the meeting is adjourned. I don't have my gavel anymore, but the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.